Welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. So I'm just planting the remainder of the brassicas. Now these seeds come from Deary, and I actually got these from Boundary Mill over in Bilston earlier this week, and these were basically 69p a packet, which I thought was really good value. Now I'm going to be planting some more calabrese because the first lot basically hasn't germinated. I've probably got about half a dozen plants out of the ones that are planted, so I'm going to be putting some more of them. I'm going to be doing these in exactly the same way. I actually put some curly kale in as well earlier this week, but it's all the same method. So all I've got here is some fine clover compost. I'm just going that level, and basically with a piece of wood, just sort of any sort of bit of wood will do this, but don't do it with your hand because you get the pressure more even if you do it with a piece of wood like this. So I've left that so it's around an inch or so from the top of the tray. Now all brassicas look the same. The little seeds are all little teeny black balls. And the method of sowing them is pretty much the same. The only thing that you need to think about is things like kales. They can go in sort of early April, perhaps even March, where other things like calabrese, the broccoli, the green broccoli, the purple sprouting broccoli, and the sort of cauliflowers and stuff like that, they need to be a little bit later, so it's a bit warmer for them. Now the weather's not been brilliant this past week, but I'm taking a chance. I'm only going to put that many seeds in. As you can see, they're like little sort of black, sort of grey, browny black balls, but all of the brassica seeds are pretty much the same. The seeds alter in size slightly. Some of the seeds are slightly bigger than this, but they're all pretty much the same thing. So all you want to do is sow them. I'm not going to be too particular about this. Sow them in like that. Sprinkle along the top. You can be a little bit more particular, as I explained when I did the kale. I am a little bit more particular with that because I like to sort of prick them out, but I'm going to be picking the strongest plants out of here, and there's loads of seeds in here, so I'll be probably giving most of these away. Sprinkle them on the surface of the ground like that as evenly as you possibly can do, and then all you need to do is get some fine compost between your hands like that, and just break it up over the top. You literally just want to cover the seeds. You don't want to put too much over the top. You can use vermiculite on the top if you wish. I've done that in the past, but today I'm just going to be putting a little bit of compost over the top. There's literally just a sprinkling over here. It's going to end up probably being a millimetre or so, or sort of 80 thou if you work in an imperial. So that's pretty much all we need. So all you need to do then is just level it all off, and again, the same piece of wood. Just push that down so they're nice and firm. With brassicas, you always want the compost to be reasonably firm, and then all you need to do now is put a label in there, and so you don't forget what they are, because all brassicas look the same when they first come up. Water that with tap water, and then what I'm going to do, because the weather's been a little bit cold for the past week or so, I'm just going to put a piece of glass over there. In exactly the same way as I explained before. What you want to do is put the glass on and then put the label in kind of like that, so you've got a little bit of an air gap around here so the air can flow around, but that's just going to keep it sort of nice and warm in there, so we'll get good germination. Okay, so exactly the same way. This is the broccoli, and this is exactly the same thing. So I've just put the top of the packet up. As you can see, these seeds are pretty much the same, slightly bigger, and in exactly the same way. All I'm going to do is just sprinkle them on. I've got the soil or the compost about an inch below the top of the tray. All I'm doing is sprinkling around. As you can see, this is really quick. Like that, sprinkle them around like that, and then all you need to do again is just put a little bit of compost over the top. You don't need too much compost. It literally is as quick as that. Now what I'll do is I'll also put some glass on the top of this one as well, just to make sure that it stays warm. As soon as I start to see them germinate, and you'll see like a little sort of root on the seed. I'll just show you these. This had a piece of glass over. I don't know if you can see. If you see the seed there, you can see the little. Can you see the seed there? There's like a little teeny root at the bottom of the seed. I don't know if you can see that. And that's as soon as you get that, they've already germinated. So all of the seeds now, if I just pull that seed out there, you can see there's a little teeny root on there. As soon as you get that, they're away, so you don't need to have the glass on there any longer. Just keep them sort of moist, not too wet. So really within a day or so you should be able to take the glass off, and then you know, as soon as brassicas have germinated, they've started, they're away, and you can just leave them to it. Just make sure they keep watered, and you know, the temperature shouldn't be too hot. So put a label on that, another piece of glass over the top. Obviously, as I say, as soon as you see the seeds germinating, just by looking at one of the seeds like that, you'll be able to see the little root coming out. As soon as it does that, take the glass off and just leave them to it, and they'll grow. Okay, something that's really valuable in the allotment are these, which are called basically fence pins. Now you'll see these on, you know, you've got works on the side of roads and stuff, where or any building sites, you'll see pegs like this driven into the ground, and these are basically, you know, you drive that into the ground, and then you can hang your fencing on it or whatever else. These things are absolutely invaluable in an allotment, for holding up plants, for, you know, for supporting things, for pinning things down onto the ground like the tunnel, stuff like that. And these are relatively cheap to buy. In fact, these are, I think, incredibly cheap to buy. This is these are 1.35 meters long, so they're kind of, you know, sort of 4.5 foot high, and they're 16 millimeters in sort of diameter. So they're really good, solid post. And it's something that you only need to buy once, you know, because these will last you years and years and years. You know, these won't sort of decay. Obviously, they go a little bit rusty after a bit, but you know, these will last you for a lifetime basically. And these are £1 each, and I bought these from a company in Bilston called Black Country Pins. If you go on the internet and search for Black Country Pins, you'll be able to effectively order these. I do believe they send them through the post as well, but I actually went to collect these, and I bought 20 of these, and these will most certainly serve me well. So you know, you can use these to, you know, to anchor things down, to support things. You know, you can put these in plants to hold plants up, etc. And you know, the uses for these are limitless in an allotment. So if you do need something like this, a nice strong support that you can drive into the ground with a hammer and hold whatever you want up, I strongly recommend you go to Black Country Pins and order yourself a load of these. As I say, they're £1 each, so really you can't sort of grumble at that, and they'll serve you for life. Sorry, just very quickly, these are the birdhouse gourds, as you can see. That one, and that one. These are the first 4. So 3 of the 4 have come up, and those are the ones that I didn't sand the seeds down. And out of the ones that I did, they have actually seemed to have germinated quickly. So I've got one just coming through there. That one's obviously out, and this one here is just coming out at the bottom. This one, there's no sign as of yet, but seemingly we've got 3 out of 4 on both of them. But these ones most certainly have germinated quicker, even though the weather's been a little bit cooler. Okay, and the next question comes from Liz Miller,
and she was talking about different coloured nets. Now this comes from a comment that I made regarding the weeds and stuff that are in the tunnel, and she was saying because the tunnel's there, that's possibly why the weeds are there. Now, last year the onions were in that section of the allotment, and I think that's possibly something to do with it. Potatoes tend to not smother weeds, but they tend to hold the weeds back because they're taking all the light, because they tend to cover the ground. And so I think that's possibly the difference. But you are right. Because the tunnel's there, the tunnel will most certainly restrict the airflow through there, and so the ground's going to be moister, which would bring on weeds. And also, having thought about it, it's going to be warmer in there as well. I think it'll be marginal, but I think because there's less wind, it'll warm up in there a little bit more. So I think the ground's probably warmer. But let's go on to this idea of light. Now, basically Liz was saying, if you've got bluey green light, so if you've got blue or green net, that will promote leaf growth. And if you've got a red net, that'll bring on sort of dark colours like flowers and stuff like that. Now, I'm not quite sure. The one thing I do know is if you've got coloured flowers like sort of reds, blues, and stuff like that, you're much better off to get better colour out of the flowers. You're much better off growing them in a shaded area so they don't get direct sunlight. And if you're growing sort of white flowers and stuff like that, you're much better off growing them in sort of direct sunlight, as it were. This is a rule of thumb, because sunlight will bleach colour out of sort of coloured flowers. And if you've got sort of white flowers in direct sunlight, then obviously it'll make them all the whiter. So I know certain sort of plant growers who grow sort of flowers for sale and stuff like that. What they will do is they will grow them in sort of dappled shade if they're a coloured flower, because the colour of the flower will be that much vibrant. But having thought about it, I think the reason why there's more weed in the tunnel is probably because the type of weed that was between the onions, because I was late a couple of times weeding the onions out, and a few of the plants may have run to seed, so they've spread seed everywhere. That's possible, because I think a lot of it's like grass, and obviously grass sort of goes to seed quite quickly. Also, I think because the ground's warmer, and also it wasn't dug over at the back end of last year, because if you remember, all of the potatoes, they all got dug over and all the ground got turned over, etc., as I was taking the potatoes out. But the onion patch, as soon as I took the onions out of there, it stayed as it was. So I think that's possibly the reason why there's so many weeds there. But yes, Liz, you are right. Different types of light will bring on different behaviours in plants. And if it is a leafy plant, that means it needs a lot of light. So if you do grow that under cover, any cover, I think, the leaves will, there'll be typically more leaves. All the leaves will be bigger to absorb more light, so the photosynthesis process can continue. Next comment comes from 50 Shades of Green, and they were talking about the algae that I've got in the, and I think it was the asparagus that's the worst, to be honest with you. Now if I just show you, what you get is, here the asparagus. That's what they look like now, so they're nice little sort of tree shapes. But if you look on the actual earth, you'll see that there's sort of, I don't know if you can see that, but there's like a green kind of sheen on the top, which is basically algae. Now, unfortunately, what you get is the algae's everywhere. I mean, the greenhouse, there's bits of it on the greenhouse. It's inside the greenhouse, and anywhere where you've got the right conditions, algae will grow. It's in the water butt as well. My patio's got algae on it. You can see like a green sort of shimmer on there, and you can, there's means and ways of getting around it. There's some stuff that Aldi do which is quite cheap. It's about £3 for a sort of, I think it's a 2 litre tub of this stuff, and you water it down, water that on, that'll kill all the algae. But algae's everywhere. It's it's in water butts, it's in the ground, it's everywhere. And if the right conditions are there for it to grow, then it will flourish and grow. And that's basically what we've got. We've got nice, fertile, damp conditions there, and that's why you're getting this algae sort of grow over the top. Now, it's not too much of a concern. I've not sort of done anything about it so far, but all you need to do, it's another reason why when you're watering seeds for the first time, always water them with tap water, because tap water shouldn't have any algae in it, and you know, 'cause it's been kept in the dark, so obviously, you know, any spores or anything like that in, you know, in there will be killed, and also it's got chlorine in it and stuff like that. But yeah, that's you know, that's another reason why to water with tap water. But as I say, algae's everywhere. You know, it's you know, you can't really get away with it. So most certainly, if you've got the conditions that we've got in the UK, where it's quite humid, it's quite damp, it's not, you know, and you know, it's not too dry, and there's a reasonable amount of sunlight, algae will grow. If there's those conditions, it'll grow, and basically, you know, it's all around you sort of thing. So if you give it the right conditions, it will grow. And if you get it on your seed compost, it's typically a sign if you've overwatered, because algae likes wet conditions. So if you are seeing a little bit of it forming on the surface of the seedlings, you know, the surface of the compost, then it typically means you're watering a little bit too much. The next comment comes from Marina Wilson, and she was saying chives. She has real problems sort of getting chives to grow. Now I don't have a problem. I'll put the seed in, and you know, I just watered it and away it went. The one thing you can try, now if it'll work or not, I don't know, but the one thing I have done in the past, and you do this with quite a few different seeds that are difficult to germinate. I've done it with parsnips before, and it's worked, and I've also done it with celery and things like that. But what you do, parsley as well as one that you do it with, is you set the seed in the ground, and the first time you water them, what you do is you boil the kettle and then pour boiling water over the seed. Now that may seem a little bit extreme, but the boiling water, it'll soon cool down. It cools down in a matter of seconds. But the what that'll tend to do is crack the seed, and then the seed will, you know, will be easy to germinate. So you won't damage the seed by doing that. But if you do find that you struggle with seeds to germinate, that's one trick that you might may find that works for you. So set your chive seeds wherever you want to grow it, and then pour boiling water on them and see how you go. That might be a trick that will work for you. The next one comes from Muddy Boots. I've already mentioned this, but he was saying about onion sets running to seed. Now, Nigel asked me, he said, why do you always use sets? Now, I seem to have the opposite way around. Nigel's not far from me. He's only just up the road, and I've seemed to have the opposite sort of experience to him. He was saying that when he's put sets in, they've bolted, and when he's put seed in, they've grown okay. I've had the opposite way around. I always put sets in, and I've never had a problem, so I've just carried on doing that. And different people find different things work for them. As long as you keep sets, if you do have a really dry period, you need to water them, otherwise they will run to seed. But I put in, I don't know if you remember, but last year I put a row of seed grown onions, and out of the entire row, which is probably 40-50 plants, I got one onion. And the rest of them either just didn't grow in the ground, or they bolted, or whatever. But out of an entire row, I got one onion. So you know, every year I do try different things. Last year I did try onions from seed. Unfortunately, they just didn't grow for me, so I've reverted back to the sets. I always put in about sort of 10, 11, 12 rows of onion sets, and I will get the occasional one that'll bolt. Now, I don't know why. You know, they'll all be in the same ground, they're all watered the same, they're all, you know, the same conditions, and for some reason you'll get one or two of them which will bolt on you for some reason. Bolting means basically they run to seed. They form a small seed head at the top of the central stalk, and then as soon as they do that, they won't grow any further. So at that point, what you need to do is pull them out. Now, what I do is, as I've explained in the past, and I did this the other day, I will put sets in into a tray like this, and what I'll do is I'll keep these in the greenhouse. These are just starting to shoot now, and what I'll do, if any do go funny in the line, they either won't grow or they bolt or whatever, what I will do is pull them straight out and then put in a replacement in the hole, and I find that works really well. The next one comes from Clayman again, another comment, and he was saying that the only reason I'm putting this comment in is I can't believe that they've actually done this, but on his allotment plots, they actually gave the next plot to him, to somebody who was keeping pigeons. Now, why somebody would keep pigeons on an allotment, field, I don't know, to be honest with you, because pigeons just completely ruin, you know, loads of stuff. I spent, you know, the best part of 2 months at the beginning of this year as well, you know, making a tunnel, and the primary reason for me doing that are pigeons. We do have pigeons around here, and they just, brassicas, they just go through them like a dose of salts. As I showed you on a video a couple of weeks ago, or last week, they've gone through the purple sprouting broccoli, and they've just completely destroyed the plants. And obviously, you know, I've been growing them plants for 6 months. I've come to crop them, and the pigeons have gone through and sort of eaten them all off. And I've also had pigeons damaging all the broccoli in the past, and they've also gone through rows of seed, you know, sort of peas they tend to go for as well. They'll take the tops off the peas, and they were also attacking the chickpeas and also the dal last year as well. So pigeons are a pain in the backside, and the fact that they've allowed somebody to keep them on an allotment does surprise me. However, having said that, do make friends with this person who's got the pigeons, because pigeon manure is one of the best manures you could put on an allotment. It's good for a number of reasons. It's just like pig manure as well, and chicken to a degree, because it's such a strong manure. It will kill weeds. So if you've got a patch of ground which is particularly sort of weedy, if you put a layer of the manure on the top, it will actually kill all the weeds off. It's that strong, and then it'll obviously fertilise the ground for when you put your plants in. So pigeon manure is good for the allotment, you know. So, but anyway, Clayman said what he's actually managed to do is move from that plot to another one. So he's got a new plot now, so that's all good. But I just wanted to say I'm amazed that they're actually allowing somebody to keep pigeons on an allotment, to be honest with you. The next one comes from Allotment Upcycling, Tina and Jason, and they were asking me, have you put the Aquilegia seeds in, and how are they getting on? Because Tina sent me some Aquilegia seeds at the back end of last year. Tina, I've not managed to put them in yet. You reminded me. I should have put them in by now, to be honest with you. But what I'll do is I'll put them in the next few days, and I'll let you know how I'm getting on. You did say that the ones I'd sent to you haven't germinated yet. Aquilegia, you will find they aren't the easiest thing to germinate, but be patient. They will come, but what you do need with Aquilegia is a reasonably good temperature. I've found that in the open ground, you know, you're well into sort of June or so before you start to see the small plants coming through. So obviously they need a nice warm condition. So what I would suggest is if you do sow your seeds and you haven't got a really warm greenhouse, if your greenhouse is not so warm, then put them into a small tray. Sow them in a small tray, and then put them in your kitchen window or whatever. To get them going. As soon as they're going, you're away. You can put them in the greenhouse then and separate them out and all the rest of it. So what I would suggest is, if they've not germinated yet, don't worry. They are slow to germinate anyway. But put them in your kitchen window or whatever, and sort of keep them nice and warm, and then they should germinate. The next one comes from Dick L. Now this is a comment, and he did make me laugh when I read it, because I was talking about which way to put the rows. There's a comment on saying, which way should you put the rows, east, west, or north, east, and I think the consensus is you go east, west, but there's no reason why you can't really go northwest if your allotment's that way. And I said that in the northern hemisphere, the sun always rises in the east. Of course, that's true for everybody. So if you're in the southern hemisphere or the northern or whatever, and this provoked a whole raft of sort of comments afterwards. So thank you for your comments. I do appreciate that. But yes, obviously, irrespective of where you are on the earth, the sun always rises in the east, of course, and sort of goes around the sky. And then it sort of went on to comments about star constellations in the sky and everything, and that's another one of my hobbies. I do like sort of watching the sky at night and watching the stars and stuff. And you are right, the constellations are upside down and all the rest of it if you go into the southern hemisphere. I've only had the fortune to go into the southern hemisphere once. I went to Mauritius and on holiday, and you are right, the constellations are the wrong way around, and it is when you're used to star constellations being a certain way around, and at night, when you go out and they're upside down, it is quite odd. But yeah, thank you for your comments, everybody. I do appreciate you putting comments on the channel, and I'll see you on the next comment section to go through any more that you've got.
Okay, so now I'm going to grow some chilies. Now, all sort of chilies are pretty much the same. The seeds are reasonably big. These are jalapeno chilies, which are always nice. They're not particularly hot, but they're nice and tasty, so these are really nice. We eat quite a lot of these in the house. So I'll just show you the seeds, but they basically look very much like tomato seeds. I'll just show you the seeds. And also, you don't want too many plants. There are the seeds. Now what I'm going to do, I've just got 2 of these square pots, and I'm just going to firm the soil down a little bit like that. I'll put in one pot inside the other. You don't want the soil to be too overly firm. What I'm going to be doing is putting about 5 or 6 seeds in each of these pots. Then I'm going to put these in the house and germinate them in the house, because really what you want to do is get them started in the house and get them off and running. So what I'm going to do is just put, and they've all dropped out my hand now. I'm just going to put 5 or 6 seeds in each one of these pots, each one. As far apart as I can possibly get the seed. Let's see how many we've got there. I've got a few more seeds than I expected. So let's transfer some of these over. Just spread them out as best you can. Because what I'm going to do, as soon as these have struck, what I'm going to do is sort of thin them out. So as you can see, that's what the kind of seeds are grown. You haven't got to be too particular. Now you only want a little teeny bit of soil on top of these. About 5mm or about 200,000, something like that. 1/8 of an inch. Right, and then as soon as you've done that, just firm it down gently like that. Obviously, put a label in. What I'm going to do is put these in the kitchen window down in the house where it's reasonably nice and warm. I don't know what it says on the seed packet, but normally, you know, really you're looking at kind of 20-25 degrees. Oh, it actually says 21 degrees for germination. So you know, they'll be most certainly at that temperature in the house. So what I'm going to do is put them in a little tray. Now this is where keeping trays really comes in. These are the these trays. Hang on, I'll show you. These trays are kind of what you get mushrooms in and stuff like that in the supermarkets. Now you'll find that 2 of these pots will sit quite nicely in a tray like that. And what you can do is you can water them, and obviously not worry about the kitchen sort of windowsill getting sort of wet or anything like that, and sort of damaging it. So I'll just put jalapeno on there. Jalapeno, I need an N in there somewhere. Right, and all I need to do is put a bit of water on them, tap water obviously, give them, they should germinate reasonably quickly, and then I'll sort of split them out and then sort of prick them out and then plant them in separate pots, grow them on, and I'll be growing these in the greenhouse amongst the tomatoes. Okay, so one of the tips I'd like to give you today is it's all about keeping seedlings moist and sort of plants moist. Now, if you've got your plants suspended in the air, like a lot of mine are, as you know, I've got like metal trays with the plants on top. Unfortunately, what that means is there's air underneath the plants and they're prone to drying out. Now, if you use something like this, which is like a mat that soaks up the moisture underneath, you can put this on top of the surface, and then basically what you would do is on top of that you'd put your plants, and you'll see this in a lot of garden centres. It's quite a common trick with plants, that you put some sort of matting like this underneath your plants. Then as you water them, as the excess water sort of seeps through, it goes into the mat and it soaks the mat, and then it basically keeps the underneath of the plant moist. To stop it from drying out in the warm weather. Now there's a number of benefits from doing this, apart from the fact the humidity in the greenhouse and that will stay high. It also will provide the sort of moisture underneath, and as you know, as plants grow, they'll put the roots out the bottom of the pot as they become pot bound, and then they'll be sucking up the water from this matting. The only downside is what you want to do is you don't want to put this onto any wooden surface, because what you can get is because this is damp all the time, if you've got wood underneath it, the wood's going to be damp all the while, and then basically the wood will rot. So what you want to do is put this on top of either glass or metal or plastic, and then that'll sort of help the plants to stay moist. What you don't want to do is have the plants sitting in water,
But if you put the plants on here where it's moist, that'll keep the plant from drying out.
So I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. Don't hesitate to put any comments or questions you've got below, and I'll always get back to you. And I'll see you on the next episode of Jim's Love Garden.